Here today at Aussie Powersports HQ with our project build Defender HD8. It's a 2020 model. Today we're going to be fitting up our steel half doors for the Defender, which will give a lot of protection, a lot more protection on the side of the vehicle from intrusions, and increase the looks of the buggy, as well as increasing comfort. As with any accessories fit, the first thing to do is open up your box of goodies, open up the instructions, familiarise yourself, as well as check off, make sure you got everything you need in the package to fit it up. So we're going to do that, and then we'll start fitting her. Just at the back of this plastic, once you've taken the retaining bolt out of the front, there's a couple of plastic clips. You can use screwdrivers or whatever, but these tools make life a lot easier. And that's the cloth door removed. Obviously got to do the same on the other side, but it's the same, so we'll move ahead. Top Torx bit out, and nut and bolt down here. No, just a bolt. And just slides off at the top and pulls out at the bottom. And last step in preparation is to take the plastic plastic cloth door clip off the side here. Next step is to install the replacement side restraints, which will give a base to mount the door brackets. On older model Defenders pre-2020, they just slide on and bolt in using these bolts here. On 2020 and newer models, there's obviously this thick plastic that covers that and won't let you do it. So what I've done is traced out the size of the bracket, added an extra 5 or 10 mil for fitment ease. And what we're going to need to do is cut this plastic out along here. The best way to do that is just with a sharp Stanley knife, heated with a butane torch. So yeah, trace out the bottom bracket in the plastic, make it a bit bigger than the bracket actually is, and then we cut that plastic out, which will allow this bracket to slip in onto these nuts, onto the back of these bolts, and then tighten up with the nuts, and the top will sit on the existing factory stub. So I've just made a light cut through, making sure it all looks good. And then it's just a case of going a bit deeper each time, heating the blade, going a bit deeper, till you cut all the way through and can remove this whole piece of plastic. It is fairly thick, so it takes a few passes for on each cut. Okay, as you can see, after a bit of time, cutting through everywhere. See, it is thick plastic, so that's why it takes a little bit of doing. But once that's done, you can access those bolts. That should give us enough room to get that on. Once we loosen those bolts off and get everything lined up. So we'll be putting this on next. Now we've cut the plastic away from the nuts and bolts down here, we'll be able to put our replacement restraining bracket on, which also gives us some mounts for the doors. So it should just slide behind these nuts here and push onto the factory stub at the top. A bit of wiggle. There we go. Just want those lower nuts done up loosely to hold it basically in position. And then you're going to reuse your factory Torx bolt with the wafer washer, because it's got the curve on one side that'll marry up with the curve on our bracket. Now, if you have an older Defender from 2016 to 2019, I believe, this is not a threaded hole. So you use a nut and bolt to go all the way through and just tighten the nut up on the back side to hold it in. We leave everything sort of finger tight. It gives a bit of wiggle room at this stage. It gives us some adjustment while fitting the rest of the kit. So when installing the protector tube or grab handle type bracket, it's very important to use the 2 bolts that come with the kit in this location. These are the OEM nuts, but these bolts that come in the kit are a bit longer, and that allows you to install the 2 spaces in behind this bracket between the inside face of this and the frame, which allows for proper alignment of this handle, which then allows for proper alignment of the bracket, the hinge bracket that bolts to it, and then the door onto that. Without those spaces, it throws all the geometry off and doesn't fit as well as it should. Makes install a lot more difficult. So yeah, make sure you replace those bolts, which gives you enough length to put those spaces in, which makes everything fit as it's designed. The next part to install is the rear mount bracket. You'll see it's got 3 holes in the rear there for the mounting. Your Defender will only have 2 threads for those 3 to pick up. But again, older models had them vertical, that in the middle years, I think from 17 or 18 to 19, they were offset, and you use the upper outer and the lower inner, and then back on 2020 they're in the vertical again. So 2 of the 3 of these holes will line up depending on what model, what year model Defender you have. So this one being a 2020 has the 2 vertical ones above each other. So I'll just grab the nuts and bolts required. So just 2 M8 bolts, M8 by 20 hex head drive, Allen key drive bolts, and 2 8mm washers. So that's the rear 2 brackets mounted, just finger tight at this stage. Next to go on is the main hinge bracket. This hole on the front face and this side on the side return line up with these 2 in this bracket, and then the 2 on the outer face line up with 2 on the rear bracket. So for the 2 on the rear bracket, they've got welded nuts on the back. So it's just an 8mm by 20 bolt and washer again. Just get them started and finger tight. And the other 2 mounting locations use a nut and bolt with washers. So that's the basic idea. It's still loose obviously. Down at this lower hinge pin on this main bracket, there's another slot that takes a 70mm long 6mm bolt and a spacer. So the spacer just goes behind the bracket, between the bracket and the buggy, and the bolt threads into a factory thread hole. Again, there's still some wiggle in all these brackets, but that's the main bracketry done for the hanging of the door. So this is the door catch mechanism that the door latch will actually latch onto and hold the door closed. So you got your striker pin, which has got some up and down adjustment. The front plate, which has in and out adjustment. And then the actual mounting bracket that'll mount it to the machine. So if you were just fitting doors, you have this main bracket, and then a plate goes over the outside and bolts through over this in this part here. So the bracket with the welded nuts goes up and in. This would sit on the outside and through compression clamp it solidly to the machine. Since we have a bull bar installed on this machine, the bull bar mounting bracket shares the same holes. So we actually use this part of the bull bar bracket, this part of the door latch bracket, and that is then surplus for requirements. But if you don't have this bull bar, you use that. 3 holes with threaded nuts on the inside, like so. One thing to be careful of is when you're putting the OEM bolts back in this location, they're just self-cutters into a plastic thread. So you don't want to over tighten those and then strip them. But you've got 3 mounting positions back here, which is where all the strength comes from. This is just to get the correct alignment. So just be careful with that. Okay, so now we're gonna install the hinges onto the door to let it swing off the brackets. So this consists of 2 of these little triangle type pieces. One upper and one lower. The 2 actual hinges, which will install through there. And just the bolts. So these are just a 6mm bolt with a spring washer and then a flat washer. So we should be able to just, do this, yeah. Should be able to slide these in behind the mounting bracket. Place the hinge over the top. Just get one started loose so you've got movement to align the others. It's roughly centre. The design of these means you can have a lot more adjustment in hinge positioning, up, down, in and out, which is good when accounting for the vehicle, and as it beds in over time, being able to adjust it back to a good close, a good finish. So that's the basic install the hinges to the door. We'll just nip those up a little bit. Still want some movement in it to hang it. And then we can tighten them up fully when they're on the machine, so we can adjust it to suit. Okay, now we've got the brackets on and the hinges on the door. It's time to swing it. So just a case of picking it up and sliding it over the top of the pins. Until it's on. Now you can see where these three-way adjustable brackets come in handy, as the door relative to the main hinge bracket can move in and out and up and down. And that way you can get it to seal, close up good, and then tighten those 6 bolts. Give it another test or two, adjust it if required, until you've got a good solid seal and good latching. So we'll just tighten up those bolts. And there you have it, one set of doors. So the final step to complete the install, fairly easy. To stop the door from being able to swing too far back, there's just a little safety strap. It just needs to loop over the bracket on the door. It's just got a loop in each end of the strap. Then the same on the bracket that's attached to the vehicle, like so. It just means the door open to just on 90 degrees, or just a bit less than 90 degrees. Won't swing all the way around and hit on anything. Once you've got your strap in place at the hinges, adjusted your door for proper fit and positive closing, that's the installation of the doors done. If you'd like to know more about our half doors for a Can-Am Defender, or any other accessories you see on this machine, or accessories for most other ATVs and UTVs, contact the team here at Aussie Powersports, or jump onto the website at www.aussiepowersports.com.au.